I'm standing now in an olive grove in Syria. As you can see, it's snowing. It's coming down quite thick and hard now, and it's been snowing more heavily in other parts of the country. It started now within the last sort of hour or so, starting with sleet, and the temperature's obviously dropping now as it's coming towards the end of the day. It just pains me that there are so many people living in such tough conditions here. You know, compared with the lives that we live in the UK, it is really grinding for the poor here. You know, what it means for the poor to live in these kind of conditions in winter. Doing something as basic as taking a shower it's almost impossible when it's this kind of temperature, when it's really cold, when you don't have heating in the house, when you don't have the ability to heat the water to have a warm shower in the first place. For some of them, yeah, they'll have a shower maybe once a week, or a bath once a week, or a wash once a week. That's maybe about as much as they can manage in terms of boiling the water and keeping just managing to do it in a warm way. But just something as basic as washing your hair, actually, in these kind of, when it's really cold and you don't have heating, that's really difficult, because you can't sit there with wet hair, and you certainly don't have the ability to use a hairdryer. These are really basic things, but they are complications of being poor in a cold environment where there's a massive lack of fuel and power. It's quite tragic, really. It never used to be like this. I sat talking with one of the member of our team's mothers, and she was telling me, my Arabic's not brilliant, and she doesn't speak a word of English, so we just about managed to communicate with each other. And basically she described to me how before the war there was never a problem with having fuel. They had all the fuel that they needed to keep warm in winter. But since the war, the economic crisis, the sanctions, all of these things have made it impossible. People are struggling just to keep warm. Even the ordinary people, not even the poor, but the ordinary people, they are struggling to keep warm. They are struggling to heat their homes. They don't know how to heat their homes and keep their children warm. It's not just the poorest who are struggling with this. It's across the board. It's only really the wealthiest and the people who are the best resourced, the people who've managed to put money aside, invest in solar panels. But look at this. This is complete cloud cover. Even if you have solar panels, that is not going to help with this. If you're lucky, you can recharge your batteries on a sunny day, but those batteries will run down really quickly in this kind of weather. Just this cloud cover, you won't get anything at all from the solar power. So it's really hard for everyone to survive here. It's really hard, rich or poor. It's very difficult. The electricity available is it's minimal. It's just not enough. It's not enough to even, you might get a blast of warm air for a short period of time, but that's not going to last for very long. Once the electricity goes off, and then you have another 6 hours until the electricity comes on again, it's not going to last. It's not going to heat your home. It's not going to keep your children warm. And if you don't have adequate clothing to be able to wrap up and just protect yourself from this weather and this cold, then how are you going to manage? Personally, on a personal level, I cannot stand being cold. I really hate being cold. I know some people cope with cold better and are not so keen on the sun. To be honest, I struggle with both extremes, but I can't imagine living in an unheated house with bare concrete walls, a bare concrete floor, just a thin blanket to put over the floor, and without the adequate clothing to put on, and without being able to have a fire or heating. I can't imagine that. And that's the situation really for too many people here in Syria right now. Millions. If you look at the figures from UN, they say about 85% of the population are living in poverty now. 85%. That's millions. That's many millions of people living in poverty, struggling to survive in this weather.